I'm standing in the tractor assembly area of the John Deere Waterloo Works. The world's finest tractors come off the end of this assembly line. The name John Deere is recognized all over the world as the finest agricultural tractors money can buy. But you know, the world's finest tractors don't build themselves. It takes modern, state-of-the-art facilities like this one and sophisticated technology. But more importantly, it takes people.
People with skill, dedicated individuals who take pride in their work. It's the people of John Deere who have made this a great company and who have made John Deere tractors the best in the world. And they've been doing it for more than 80 years. When the pioneers moved westward, they found a vast frontier spread out in front of them like a fertile carpet. Wooded fields and grasslands as far as the eye could see. The Great Plains offered the richest farmland man had ever seen. A blacksmith named John Deere developed a self-scouring plow that could cut through this rich topsoil and turn it over. Yet it stayed bright and shiny so the soil wouldn't stick to it. That new steel plow was soon in demand all over the country, and the name John Deere became synonymous with quality farm implements. By the turn of the century, as agriculture was continuing its westward expansion, the internal combustion engine was providing power for everything from horseless carriages to flying contraptions. A man named John Froelich had devised a self-propelled gasoline engine that is regarded as the first real tractor. In 1910, the National Dairy Cattle Congress was held for the first time in Waterloo, Iowa. Chapman Field was constructed in 1914, the same year that Waterloo pilot John Livingston won the national air races. And the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company was producing the Waterloo Boy tractor. It was one of the most successful farm implements of the time. It weighed about 5,500 pounds, cranked out about 12 drawbar horsepower, and it was a revolutionary new farm implement. World War I was the first mechanized war. Tanks and planes, trucks and artillery, these were the products of the factories that had sprung up during the first part of this century.
Deere & Company in Moline, Illinois, was one of the leading farm implement makers in the United States. They had been experimenting with tractor design and manufacture. In 1918, Deere & Company purchased the Waterloo Gasoline Traction Engine Company for $2.1 million and became the John Deere Tractor Company.
The city of Waterloo was a rapidly growing industrial town in the agricultural Midwest. And following World War I, when thousands of young men returned from overseas service, it became a boom town. The Model D went into production in 1923, and it was one of the most popular tractors ever. The newly reconstructed Russell Lamson building, which had burned to the ground in 1914, was the beginning of a revitalization in downtown Waterloo. Charles Lindbergh became the first person to fly solo across the Atlantic in 1927. The following year, John Deere introduced the general-purpose tractor, the Model GP. It was a revolutionary new farm tractor. It had adjustable cushion springs on the seat and a wide tread to straddle the rows. It was advertised as being fully equal to that of any horse-drawn cultivator. How wide is a row? 42 inches, because that's how wide the average horse is. John Deere now had more than 2,000 employees and was producing more than 25,000 tractors per year. Hourly wages had climbed to 60 cents an hour. Herbert Hoover assumed the presidency in 1929. He was the only Iowan ever elected president. In fact, his wife Lou was from Waterloo. The stock market crash of 1929 occurred immediately after Hoover's election. And even though it was caused by poor credit practices and a hollow economy, Hoover became the scapegoat for the economic crisis and the depression that followed. The Great Depression hit the farmer hard with bank failures and foreclosures. Corn was bringing just 10 cents per bushel. By 1931, John Deere's factory workforce had shrunk from 2,000 down to 300. And in 1933, only 878 tractors were produced in Waterloo. But John Deere's famous two-cylinder engine was rugged, reliable, simple, yet sophisticated in design. And in 1934, the Model A was introduced. John Deere's reputation for leadership through technology was still growing. Even though its two largest employers, John Deere and Raft Packing Company, relied heavily on agriculture, Waterloo continued to grow throughout the 1930s. Electric Park was the place to go for amusements, movies, and thrill rides. It was considered the best amusement park in the Midwest. By 1940, as the nation was slowly recovering from the economic depression, the population of Waterloo had risen to over 50,000. The new Park Avenue Bridge was completed with WPA funds, and the Raft Packing Company was the largest meat packer in the nation with more than 5,000 employees. World War II. John Deere joined the war effort. As male employees went to war, women were hired to replace them in the shops. Transmissions and final drive assemblies for Sherman tanks were built in Waterloo. John Deere factories also supplied parts for Grumman Hellcat and Avenger aircraft. In 1942, 5 brothers from Waterloo were serving aboard the cruiser USS Juno near Guadalcanal. Their ship was sunk by a Japanese torpedo, and all 5 were killed. The 5 Sullivan brothers represented the greatest single loss of life from any one family in the entire war. As a result, the U.S. Armed Forces decided that no 2 men from any family could serve in the same unit at the same time ever again. By war's end, John Deere was ready to produce tractors to meet the farmer's needs at a price he could afford. The John Deere Tractor Works now covered more than 2.4 million square feet. The T buildings were added along with new offices. In 1949, John Deere's Model R was introduced to replace the D. It incorporated many new innovations, including a 34 horsepower diesel engine, more power than any tractor John Deere had ever manufactured. And as an option, an all-steel cab was available, the first for a John Deere tractor. By 1950, more than 6,000 employees were earning wages of $1.72 an hour. The 1950s brought more than tail fins, hula hoops, and long sideburns. It brought the Korean War, the Cold War, and the first of John Deere's numbered series tractors, the 50 and 60 series, replaced the B and the A respectively. And the 70, which was introduced in 1953, became the first John Deere row crop tractor to be offered with a diesel option. The United States and Waterloo entered a period of economic prosperity unrivaled in modern history. Waterloo's West High School, the Grout Museum, and the new municipal airport were completed in the early 1950s. By 1958, John Deere in Waterloo had 5,200 employees. a $30 million payroll, and was building more wheel tractors than any factory in the world. The 620, 630, 720, and 730 tractors were among the most popular John Deeres ever, and many of them are still working on farms today.
The two-cylinder engine had been tried and found true for nearly half a century. But times change, circumstances change, and problems change. And as they do, solutions also change.
Farmers wanted increased power. They wanted transmissions with at least 6 speeds, bigger fuel tanks, more operator comfort, and they wanted it at a price they could afford. The only possible solution seemed to be start from scratch. So in 1953, a team of engineers, engine, chassis, transmission, and hydraulics experts began work on a completely new line. The Product Engineering Center in Waterloo, which opened in 1956, gave this team the facilities and the secrecy they needed to concentrate on the development of this new tractor design. In 1960, the youngest man ever elected to the presidency of the United States promised to put a man on the moon before the end of the decade.
That same year, a new generation of power was introduced to the world, a totally new farm tractor design. Once again, John Deere would virtually revolutionize the farming industry.
The biggest change, of course, was the new 4- and 6-cylinder engine. That old Poppin' Johnny sound that had been with us for more than 4 decades would begin to fade as it was replaced by the steady purr of the new John Deere tractors.
People shuddered to think of a John Deere tractor without that 2-cylinder engine. Some people expressed fears for the continued existence of the company. But as John Deere himself said, we must continue to improve our product or others will, and we'll lose our trades.
The new 3010 and 4010 new generation tractors introduced the John Deere 4- and 6-cylinder engine. They also featured a new 3-point hitch, hydrostatic power steering, and a scientifically designed posture seat. It was so comfortable that farmers sent fan mail praising it. In 1963, John Deere introduced the first 2-wheel drive tractor with more than 100 horsepower, the 5010, rated at 121 PTO horsepower. And in 1964, the 4010 was replaced by something even better, the 4020, destined to become the most popular tractor of its time. It was a tractor that was ahead of its time. It was a classic. It was an era of increased safety awareness. John Deere developed the first widely accepted rollover protective structure, the roll guard. And in the interests of farmers' safety worldwide, John Deere offered this patented design to its competitors throughout the tractor industry at no cost. A devastating flood in 1961 caused more than $60 million in damages to the city of Waterloo. A new city hall and a new courthouse were opened. The hometown hero and West High football standout Don Perkins was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. He would eventually play for 8 seasons and retire as the 5th best rusher in NFL history. Hawkeye Institute of Technology opened its doors in 1966, and future Olympic gold medalist Dan Gable of West High finished his 4th undefeated high school wrestling season. By 1972, the newly opened Crossroads Shopping Center boasted the only escalator in Waterloo. Hourly wages for John Deere's more than 7,000 employees had climbed to over $5 an hour. Richard Nixon, elected to his 2nd term that year, was winding down the war in Vietnam, and the Watergate was just a hotel in Washington. The face of downtown Waterloo changed radically with the demolition of several prominent buildings. New bridges had replaced the old ones after the major flood in the early 60s. The first phases of the new electric foundry began to take shape on the site of the former Galloway factory. John Deere introduced the new Generation 2 tractors in 1972 at the Waterloo Airport. They had dramatic new styling, new transmission options, and many safety and comfort features. But the most visible innovation was the new Sound Guard body. The combination of comfort and performance offered by the Generation 2 tractors made it the most widely demanded tractor in the world. The demand for these tractors outpaced John Deere's manufacturing capacity. So in the 1970s, John Deere began an expansion program at Waterloo that would include, in addition to the new foundry, the new engine works and a new tractor assembly plant. This high-tech factory of the future was a symbol of the advances John Deere had made in technological and computer-integrated manufacturing. These new manufacturing facilities, combined with the newly expanded Product Engineering Center, were the best and latest examples of John Deere's leadership through technology. Conway Civic Center, opened in 1975, symbolized a new effort in the revitalization of downtown Waterloo, and the Unidome had become a landmark in Cedar Falls. In 1978, 15,000 John Deere employees were manufacturing over 200 tractors per day. But by 1982, low commodity prices, plunging land values, and higher interest rates made farming a tough occupation. The Rath Packing Company was heading into bankruptcy court in 1983, and John Deere's workforce had been reduced to less than 5,000. John Deere introduced the new 50 Series tractors that year. These tractors offered improved fuel economy and productivity. Much of the new 50 Series economy resulted from a combination of a new 15-speed power shift transmission and mechanical front-wheel drive. IBP and Eagle Tanning Company began construction of new facilities in Waterloo in the late 1980s. Waterloo began a long, slow climb from an economic depression that had begun early in the decade. In 1987, the National Cattle Congress, with the help of local investors, opened the Waterloo Greyhound Park. And the new freeway system permanently changed the face of Waterloo by connecting it to Interstate 380. In 1989, Conway Civic Center was renamed the Five Sullivan Brothers Convention Center to commemorate the five brothers from Waterloo who died together in World War II. The Berlin Wall was coming down. Walter Cronkite was still reporting the news for CBS, and the John Deere team was building a new family of tractors to meet the needs of farmers worldwide. It would incorporate the many features that farmers demanded and offer a few that they hadn't even thought of yet. The 6,000 and 7,000 series tractors were completely new from the ground up. New engines, new transmissions, more sophisticated hydraulics, and more comfort for the operator. By 1992, the Gulf War had been fought and won, and Bill Clinton was playing the saxophone on MTV. Thousands of John Deere dealers and salespeople came to Waterloo that summer to see the introduction of the new 6,000 and 7,000 series tractors. It was a spectacular show, and it was the first introduction held right in the plant. At the same time, John Deere was developing another new tractor, the largest row crop tractor in the industry. This new 8,000 series tractor had more than 225 horsepower. All of the controls were right at the operator's fingertips. The command arm was a completely new concept in operator convenience. It offered such exceptional visibility and maneuverability that the tractor was patented. When this new 8,000 series tractor was introduced in 1994, the Waterloo Greyhound Park was hoping to install slot machines for expanded gambling. The Dow had not yet broken the 4,000 mark, and John Deere in Waterloo had more than 6,200 employees. The features offered on this new tractor were the most advanced the industry had ever seen. The rebounding farm economy and the trend toward even larger farms created an unprecedented demand for tractors of this size and larger. The 9000 series four-wheel drive tractors offered power that 50 years ago would have been unimaginable, up to 425 horsepower. The demands for higher and higher yields meant the farmer needed machinery that he could rely on and still be able to afford. That placed even greater demands on the equipment makers. John Deere was ready for the challenge. The 1990s brought tremendous changes to the world economy, and the worldwide demand for agricultural products grew as well. It has become a truly global economy. John Deere's expanded sales worldwide brought new challenges to tractor design to answer customer demands for more traction and drawbar pull. So John Deere introduced a tractor with rubber tracks, the 8000T series. Tracked tractors had been around for years, but this new tractor offered all the proven John Deere technology and expertise in a rubber-tracked version. Now farmers have a choice, tires or tracks. As we enter the 21st century, the farmers of the world will demand even higher productivity from the land and from their equipment.
For more than 160 years, the John Deere name has stood for quality, reliability, and genuine value for our customers. And for more than 80 years, John Deere has been building the world's finest tractors right here at Waterloo. It's because the people at John Deere take pride in their work. Our product is the best because our people are the best. So what's in store for the next 80 years? What's tomorrow's tractor technology going to be like? Well, we're already working on it.